Welcome District 64 Toastmasters. My name is Dave Woodcock, and it's my pleasure and honor this evening to introduce our speaker who has come from far and wide, Bob Hooey. Our speaker believes that the long-term success in any business in Toastmasters is built on sustained, mutually beneficial relationships, built on shared support and leveraged influence. He believes we need to build bridges, not walls, if we are to enhance and sustain our relationships. He will share a few ideas and some of the lessons he wished he had known earlier. He will also entertain and attempt to answer any questions you might have about the Toastmasters program. He is a 25-year-plus veteran and charter member of both the GSF and the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers. He believes in paying it forward with his friends like us. He is also a longtime Toastmaster and the 48th speaker in the world to earn their coveted professional level accredited speaker designation. And to date, there are only 81 people in the world that have earned it. He loves to travel and share his ideas with friends and clients across the globe. As he says, have mouth will travel. He is just back from his trip to Hong Kong on the 16th and Australia, and he has visited 54 countries on 5 continents so far. Please help me welcome warmly our Region 4 advisor, accredited speaker, Bob Idea Man Hooey.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. I figured this will be a little more casual conversation. Like we're just sitting we don't have a fireplace, but if we did, we'd be doing a fireplace chat doing this. But I want to talk to you about the importance of what we do in Toastmasters. Because I think sometimes we forget that. And especially when maybe our club is struggling a little. Would you agree? One of the things I'd like to ask you to think about is, why did you come to Toastmasters? Specifically, why you? What was it that drew you? What were you looking for when you came to Toastmasters? And did you find it? For me, I came to Toastmasters because I had a dream that I wanted to be a professional speaker, and I wanted to travel the world and encourage people to get outside their comfort zone and to build their businesses and build their careers and that kind of stuff. And I've been doing that now for nearly 25 years. But I didn't know how to do that until I ran into a man. His name was John Noonan, who I found out later was the immediate past international president of Toastmasters International. I just knew him as John Noonan from the Federal Business Development Bank because we were doing training programs. And I saw that he had a business card. He had the NSA logo on his business card. And I said, John, I have an idea. I'd like to be a professional speaker someday. And he said to me, he looked at me and he said, Bob, have you ever heard of Toastmasters? And I said, no, I've never heard the name, didn't know anything about it. And he said, Bob, here's the deal. We have clubs all over the Lower Mainland. This was in Vancouver area. And they meet on a weekly basis. Usually you can join a club. You get a chance to practice. You get a chance to hone your skills a bit before you hang out your shingle. What he really was saying is, you suck, but we can help. And that story was actually reported in the January issue of Toastmaster magazine, because, and I credit my Toastmaster journey to John having the fortitude or the foresight to say, Bob, you need Toastmasters. What he didn't say, and what I didn't realize, is that Toastmasters needed me too. Because it's been a partnership that has been very beneficial for both of us over the last almost 28 years now. I'm in my 28th year, and I'm still learning. You know, it's that simple. I'm learning new things, but I'm still learning. Like even this year, as your region advisor, I'm learning new things. I'm learning how to be more effective in making calls, sales calls to companies saying, hey, you need Toastmasters in your company. We had some great calls today. We had some good calls yesterday. We got some more tomorrow. So I'm expecting that we're going to see some real growth in District 64 over the next year. And I'm going to be able to sit back in my little place in Egremont, Alberta and go, you know, I had a small part of that. I can take some satisfaction in helping Toastmasters help Toastmasters. But it goes back to what I said. Why did you come? Why did you come here? And did you get what you came for? And we'll talk personally afterwards, but I believe that's the truth. I think when things are tough, we need to go back to the original foundation. Like, why were you doing what you're doing? Because you need something that'll help you get through the tough points. When I first started in my business, I was traveling and speaking in Australia. There was a gentleman I had met in Vancouver. He was one of the speakers on the agenda with Og Mandino, who wrote The Greatest Salesman in the World and a bunch of other amazing books. And we just got talking. And he said, well, if you're ever in Australia, look me up. And as it turned out, a month later, I sent him a note and said, by the way, I'm coming to Australia. I'm in Melbourne. He said, well, I'm in Adelaide. I said, well, I'll come to Adelaide. Because this guy was smart. And he said, well, I'll meet you on the corner of such and such and such and such. And he showed up in his gold Rolls Royce. He said, I got a gold car. He showed up in a Rolls Royce, chauffeur-driven Rolls Royce, with a plate on it that says, yes, I am, something to that effect. Because he had been told in school and in business, you're not important, you can't do it, you had a stuttering problem, he went bankrupt 3 times, and so that was his statement, yes, I am. And so we went for fish and chips in Adelaide. And we sat and chatted, and here's this man who was working with Og Mandino, who to me was like an idol in the speaking business, and a writer, amazing author, somebody that I've emulated, telling stories and encouraging people. And so here's this man who was speaking with this other man that I really appreciated. And so I told him, I said, I want to be a professional speaker. I'm just breaking into it, doing stuff. And he looked at me and he said, Bob, your dream's too small. And I went, what do you mean my dream's too small? He said, here's the deal. If you got a dream, you have to have a really big dream, because you're going to run into roadblocks, you're going to run into potholes, you're going to run into detours, you're going to run into people who won't like what you're doing, they're going to give you all that stuff. And he said, if you don't have a big enough dream, you're not going to get through that. And so what I'm saying is, think back to why you came to Toastmasters. What was the excitement? What was the passion that brought you to Toastmasters? And what were you looking for? And did you get it? And if you got it, are you telling your friends and your family and the people you meet? I'm not saying you should be running around town going, hey, you want to join Toastmasters? Although we did some of that today. And we actually did some of that at Costco yesterday. So we ran with Tekla, and Tekla ran into somebody she knew, and the guy behind the till went, hey, Bob, David. He was reading our name tags, because we had our badges on. I didn't know that he would know us. It was really cool. So we said, hey, you should join Toastmasters. So we did do that. I mean, same thing at the hotel. I'm in there talking to the girls behind the desk. And anyway, I'm not saying you need to do that, but I am saying you need to have the excitement of what you're doing and rekindle what you're doing if you're going to attract people to join your clubs. Because people don't like to join something that sucks. I hate to say that, but the truth is, and here's one little tip. We have lots of roles that you can do in your Toastmaster club. It doesn't mean you have to do them all every meeting. They were designed so everybody gets a chance to speak. If you have 3 people, don't have each of the people doing 5 roles. Somebody coming in as a guest goes, I'm not going to join this club. It looks like a lot of work. They make you work. Who's going to do this, and who's going to do this, and who's going to do this, and who's going to do this? We need one of these, and we need one of these. And they're tired by the time they hear the list. So shorten your meetings. The essence of a Toastmaster club is real simple. We talked about that today with some of the people that we called them. You have speeches, you have evaluation, you have table topics. That's your 3 basic parts. You could do that with 3 to 5 people. You could still have a really vibrant, healthy meeting that encourages people to say, hey, I'd like to be part of this. How many ever read anything about Mark Twain wrote, like Huckleberry Finn, or, yeah. Remember the part with the fence? Can I help you? You guys painting a fence?
Tom Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer's in that one.
Yeah, not Huck Finn.
Yeah, not Huck Finn, but Tom Sawyer. He's painting a fence. Can you? No, you can't do that. No, I'm sorry. This is just me. I get to do this. No, really. And he started having them bribing him so that they could paint the fence. There's a secret for us in Toastmasters in that story. Make it exciting. People want to be involved. And don't be afraid to have a decent vision. Actually wasn't even my second year in Toastmasters. I was towards the tail end of my first year. We had a brand new district governor, which is now the district director, which is what Tekla does. But in the old days, that's what they called him, they called him district. And her name was Dr. Irene Evans. She was retired. And she said, by the way, guys, this next year, District 21 is going to be the #1 district in the world. I had just been elected area governor. And I thought, lady, have you seen my area? She said, you want to be #1 in the world? You come look at my area. I got one club that's almost dead that I'm trying to resurrect. I got one club that's in good shape. I got 3 that we're not so sure yet. And you want to be #1 in the world? But she kept preaching it every time. We're going to be #1. We're going to be #1. We're going to be #1. And we started buying into it. You know, it's amazing when you preach something, people will buy into it. So even on the negative side, watch what's happening south of the border. But on the positive side, it works too. So we started saying, well, okay, if we were going to do that, how would we do that? And so I, like for example, with my club that I was trying to resurrect, I thought, here was one idea. I thought, if I can show them a really good speaker, maybe they get excited about Toastmasters. So there was a guy I knew, his son was Peter Lake. I knew him as Bernie's son. Bernie and I worked in the New Westminster, with the New Westminster pageant. Bernie taught the ladies how to walk, I taught them how to talk. And then I watched them change into these beautiful young ladies in the evening, you know, in evening gowns, because I had them in frumpy, you know, sweatshirts and whatever, and teach them how to talk, and all of a sudden here they were, like, oh my God. But I'd heard his son speak. His son was a publisher. He had published a bunch of magazines and had written a few books, and I thought, I heard him speak, and I thought he's a good speaker. I didn't know he was Peter Lake, Hall of Fame, CPAE, all the stuff you get in the speaker world. You know, I didn't know that. I just knew he was Bernie's son, and he was a good speaker. So I contacted him. I said, Peter, would you come? And I'm an area governor. I got some clubs that are struggling. Would you come and speak? Because maybe if they see a good speaker, they get excited about what they can do in Toastmasters. So he said, well, we booked a date. I booked a hotel, and I invited my 5 clubs. And I said, bring your friends and your neighbors, because we've got Peter Lake coming, and some of them knew who he was. I didn't, in that sense. And Peter came. And Peter was Peter. He is a speaker that many of us in the speaking business look up to. He's a speaker's speaker. He's a superb storyteller. He makes a ton of money. He doesn't need it because he's got a really successful business. But he speaks because he loves it, and his passion is there. He's 2 years older than me, and he's still amazing. And of course, I'm not that old, so that's probably not a big deal in case he ever sees this tape. But you know. But so he came and he spoke, and I saw light bulbs going on. You know, it was like in front of lights, you know, little things happening, because people, I could do that. Yeah, you could do that. And I got up and said, you know, you could learn how to do this in Toastmasters. You could learn to be like Peter Lake in Toastmasters. And that helped. We did a bunch of other things. For example, one of the other things is we got an opportunity to do speech crafts in New Westminster. And we did it through the community education way. So I led 2 of them, and then I passed it on to some other people. And I made a deal with the people. I said, you know, if you like what we're doing and we're working with you over 8 weeks to teach you how to be a better speaker, here's the deal. You've paid a fee. With the exception of the part that they keep, we will take every nickel that you've paid and apply it to your membership to join Tillicum Toastmasters. In 2 sessions, we had 15 people join. Plus we did some advertising, we did a bunch of other stuff. Long story short, at the end of that year, District 21 was the #1 district in the world, by far. Because people bought into the vision and they started working to make it happen. So don't be afraid to challenge people within your club and whatever. #1 in the world. And my little club, number 13 in the world. From almost dead to number 13 in the world, because people got the idea of what they could do. I'm saying that because you can do that too. And my other 5 clubs, every single one of them was distinguished or better. And you know the part that I'm really excited about? Here I am, 25 years later. Every single one of those clubs is still in existence after 25 years. You know, for example, the one I led, when I was back 2 years ago, I was back for the summer and I just happened to be there. And I thought, well, I'll just drop in because they meet Monday nights. And they were still meeting Monday nights in the summer. Here's a secret for you. The best clubs in the world, when we were rebuilding, I had read that. The best clubs in the world meet every day, or like every month. They don't cut down for the summer. You know, they cut off maybe a couple of weeks at Christmas or whatever. So I said, if we're going to rebuild, let's learn from people really doing well. And I loved it. I walked in Monday night, there was 20 people. And 3 of them were people I recruited 25 years ago. Were still involved in the club and still having fun. Now they were the leaders. That's exciting. At least for me, that's exciting. You know, plus there were people there, hey Bob, how you been? You haven't been here for a while. You know, well, I've been out of town for the last 20 years, but that's okay. So I haven't been coming to the meetings, but does that make sense? You know, I basically, what I'm saying is that if you have a club that's maybe lower numbers and struggling, make it easy for people to have fun. So maybe look at what you're doing with your meetings so that it doesn't become a lot of work. Because the other thing that happens when guests come in, they go, this is not a lot, I don't like this, it's a lot of work. But also for your members, you burn them out. How many of you like to come in and do 5 jobs, or 3 jobs, or 2 jobs? Yeah, I'm seeing eyes roll. You don't like it, do you? It's not fun. I mean, you'll do it because whoever's running the meeting is asking you to do it. It's okay. But it's not fun, so make it fun. People join things that are fun. Toastmasters is fun. If you work it right, it's a lot of fun. And the same thing is look for opportunities to join people and bring them in. And tell your story. Your most effective way of marketing is you. Is you being successful, being more productive, being more energetic, more confident as a speaker. Because people are going to do that. They're going to, how'd you learn to do that? Well, I joined Toastmasters. Oh, really? What's Toastmasters? 28 years into it, I'm still amazed that people go, what's Toastmasters? We are the best kept secret in the world. It blows my mind that nobody knows about it. You'd think by now everybody would know about Toastmasters, but they don't. So your best way of attracting new people is to talk to people about it. You know, tell them how much fun you're having in your meeting, or say, I was just at the District 64 convention, or I'm going to the District 64 convention. Was it May 3rd and 4th or something like that? 4th and 5th? 4th and 5th. 4th and 5th? Okay, just checking because conference chair's here. I want to make sure I get it right.
Well, because my wife's not here, so I'm not 100% sure.
Well, somewhere in there. It's the first weekend in May.
First weekend in May.
The first weekend in May, you'll have some great speakers, and you'll have some fun, and you'll get a chance to hang out with other people, or maybe come to Denver for the International, because that's where it is now. Our headquarters is in Denver, so this year we're having a convention. And next year, in 2020, it's in Paris. My wife is already saying, you're going to the one in 2020, aren't you? I said, well, I'm not sure. No, it's in Paris, you're going, aren't you? My wife loves Paris. First time I was there, I was speaking in India and coming back, and I told her, I said, I got enough points, I'll fly you to meet me someplace. And I gave her a choice, Frankfurt, Zurich, or Paris. So I met her in Paris. That was her choice. And so I'm coming off the plane there, she was behind the glass. You know, no, she wasn't doing that, but her plane had come in just an hour or 2 before mine, so we spent a week in Paris. We had a ball. And then a few years ago, I spoke for the French Speakers Association in Paris. She came along. She was nice enough to actually come and listen to me speak, and then she went off to the museums. So now it's like Toastmasters, Paris 2020. You're going, right? So I guess I'm going to Paris because I don't want to, have my wife get upset at me. That's, that would not be good. But there is so much that we can do in Toastmasters. And I think part of what happens is when things are struggling, we start focusing on the struggling instead of focusing on what's working right, focusing on what's going well, focusing on the fun parts. You focus on the fun parts, people want to be around you.
I mean, you walk into any meeting, you'll see a group of people, a big group of people. There's always one or two people that have a group of people around. And if you listen, because they're telling jokes, they're telling stories, they're fun to be around. People want to be around people who are having fun. They don't want to be around the guy who's grumpy over here. You know, the grumpy old man is over here. They don't want to hang out. You'll see he's off by himself, walking around with his drink and his coffee, going, why doesn't everybody talk to me? I don't know what the problem is.
You're a grumpy old bugger, you know, it's stupid. You know, you smile once in a while and have some fun. I mean, smiling is interesting. When I first joined Toastmasters, I think it's funny because people would say to me, Bob, you gotta smile more. I didn't know I wasn't smiling. I was so into I want to be a motivational speaker. I was so serious, you know, and they were laughing and I wasn't smiling. Now I smile because I have fun. You know, when I get up and speak, or in this case I sit down and speak, I just simply have a good time. And I'll invite you to be part of it. And for some strange reason, it works. You know, I do it very similar to what I do for you. I do for my paid clients where they pay me sometimes obscene amounts of money. I'm not saying obscene like in bad, like obscene in very good word. You know, to just sit down and talk to them about ideas. Some ideas I learned in Toastmasters. Like a lot of my leadership stuff, I learned partially in Toastmasters and CAPS. I mean, this is the thing when sometimes you're given a challenge. I remember one summer, I think it was the end of August, because my mom had just passed away. My dad had died in February that year, and I'd spent a lot of time taking care of my mom, and she too had passed away. And so I'm sitting at home and I'm sleeping, and I get a phone call, and it's Greg Gary, who you may know. You may not have met him, okay. But, and Greg was also part of the CAPS chapter in Vancouver, and he said, good morning, Mr. President. I went, what have you been smoking? I looked, what time? It's 7:30 in the morning. Why are you saying that? He said, well, Bill Clinton was our president we had elected, and he said Bill was off in Ireland for the summer. He decided he wasn't president, you were, which is a nice way of saying he retired, he quit. And I went, okay, so how are we doing? Because I hadn't been involved for 6 months. Well, we're down to, 8 or 10 members. We're just about broke. But other than that, we're doing good. I thought, good, call me back later. No. So that was, can you imagine that kind of call? That was real. I was just so enthusiastic about being president a year before I wanted to be. But I applied what I learned in Toastmasters to say, let's make it fun. Let's do some fundraising. So we did some fundraising. We had an auction. We raised a few $1,000, so we had money to do that. You know, we started asking for favors. People that I knew in the business that would come and speak, where maybe they would, in a couple of cases, they would actually donate their airfare. Like one friend of mine said, well, I got points, Bob, I'll fly up on points. And somebody else said, well, you know, I'm gonna be doing some business in Calgary, so we'll come through. That was Jim and Naomi Rohde. We got a little company we bought in Calgary, so we'll come through and we'll see them, and then we'll come. We got kids in the area, so we'll come and speak for you. And so we started having interesting meetings, and amazingly enough, people started joining. You know, and we went from where we were. We had 88 members. Back in those days, you could still have chapter members. We had 88 members at the end of that year. The foundation was in good shape. The money was in good shape. We had somebody to replace me and somebody to replace him. So we had a succession plan in place. But again, the same logic. You know, to remember why you're doing what you're doing, so you can tap into the excitement of it. Because if you're not keeping motivated, how can you expect the people you lead to be motivated? That's one of the things I teach when I'm doing talks on leadership, is you really have to work to make sure that you keep motivated. Because the people you're working with will be watching. It's like kids. You know, the kids are watching you when you don't think they're watching you. And if you don't believe that, just every so often something pops out of their brain or their mouth. And well, I was listening to Grandpa, I was listening to Dad, I was listening to Mom. Usually the dads. You know, the women don't usually get in trouble this way, but the guys do. It's the same thing with the people you lead. They're watching you. And if they see you down in the dumps and having problems, it's contagious. Just like enthusiasm is contagious. If you see you having fun, if they see you making progressive changes to move forward, they get it. And people like to be part of something that's growing. People like to be part of something that's healthy and delivering value. Don't you? I mean, that's the key. If you are serious about what you're doing at Toastmasters, then touch base with why you came here. I'm going back to what I originally said. Why did you come to Toastmasters? What were you looking for, and did you get it? And if you did, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, you know, put in little book fairs and little tables and talk to people about Toastmasters. Because there's a market out there that has never heard of what you've got to offer. They don't know who you are. They don't know what you do. And if you don't tell them, they'll never know. And they will miss the opportunity to be involved in Toastmasters. They will miss the opportunity of joining something that could literally, in some cases, change their lives. And I've seen that. I've seen people come that were so shy, you know, they couldn't say the Lord's Prayer in silent, you know. They were scared, you know, and then you see them blossom and grow. It's exciting. Like one of them was my friend Margot, who I saw a couple of years ago in you know, my Toastmasters club in Westminster, in Tillicum Toastmasters. She was still there when she first came. It took forever to even get her to do an icebreaker. And then it took forever to get her to do a second speech. Well, no, I want to watch, I want to do stuff. And we watched her grow, and then here I am all those years later, and she's one of the leaders. That was just exciting for me, because Toastmasters helped her change. I didn't do it, Toastmasters did. The involvement she had in that club made a difference in her life. And that probably connected with people she knew, who knew her as that very quiet, soft-spoken, shy girl. Now she's a young woman, probably in her mid-30s right now, I'm guessing later 30s maybe. You know, very vibrant, very confident, willing to get up and talk. Totally different than when she showed up. So that's what I wanted to share with you, was if you got a struggling club, that's a gift. It may be a tough gift, but the positive side of that, when you find a way to reverse that, you'll get excited, and you'll see some results. And the people who are watching, including the people in the district, will see some results. And you're going to continue tapping into people's lives to make a difference for them. And to me, that's, you know, for the last 25 years, I've decided to live my life as though I actually make a difference. And so I've tried to act accordingly. You know, even this year, volunteering to take on the region advisor role. I thought, well, I'm at a point in my life where I can afford to take some time off to give back a little bit more. Because if I do my job well, the district will be in better shape. Their clubs will be in better shape, and more people will learn about Toastmasters, which is a gift that you know, that keeps on giving. I'm going to close with one thing, and we'll open for some questions. A number of years ago, I went to visit a buddy of mine who lives in BC, lives on Wood Lake, just outside of Kelowna. Lives right on the lake, got a nice dock that goes out into the lake. And the one morning I got up about 6:30 in the morning. Something nice about being in the country, you wake up early, I don't know why. But so I'm standing on the edge of his dock with a cup of coffee, and I'm, you know, doing this kind of stuff and rubbing the sleep out of my eyes and looking, and the lake is like a glass mirror. And you hear a fish over here, and you feel the breeze in the trees, and you hear a loon over here, you know, and you're just, you know, you're waking up. You're just, you know how it is when you wake up. Got to get a couple of shots of coffee before your brain kicks in. You know, that was me that day. And so I'm sitting there, and I absent-mindedly kicked a pebble or a shell or whatever it was into the lake, and I'm watching the ripples, you know, like this, and I thought, that's cool. Another cup of coffee, another sip of coffee, and then I kick another one in. And then I'm watching that ripple starting to bounce off this one. And again, I'm still waking up. You know, I finish my coffee, go back in. You were expecting something really miraculous at the end of that story, weren't you? I know you were. I see it in your faces. You're going, where's he going with this? Where's the punchline? The punchline came later. When I was telling the story, I was out there, the coffee, blah, blah. Somebody said to me, you realize, Bob, if you have a large enough body of water, the ripple will go on forever. It never stops. If you have a large enough body of water, and it goes on forever. And I thought, interesting. You know, we have that opportunity to drop pebbles of possibility into people's lives, to create ripples that connect and connect with other people, and other people connect ripples, and we do that. That's what we do with Toastmasters. That's part of why I'm excited about what we've done the last couple of days in working with one club to rebuild it a little bit, in working with some people to bring Toastmasters into their corporations, because the ripple effect of that is going to impact people I will never meet. They won't know my name, but they'll have met Toastmasters and learned. And that to me is exciting. That makes this week worth it. Taking the week away from work to be with you this week, that makes it worth it. But that's the ripple effect that you do just by being here. By coming tonight and saying, I'm interested in learning something that will help me regenerate my club or expand my club or bring some enthusiasm to my club. So I want to thank you for taking the time to be here, and we'll open the floor for any questions, and then we'll have some coffee and all that kind of stuff, and do a dance. And Lloyd will get pictures of us dancing and having fun. So.
All right. We want to thank you this evening, Bob, for coming and giving us and enriching us this evening. Even though we're a small group, I think I can say for each of us there was an aha moment or something that we could take away today from what Bob has shared with us. So on behalf of everyone that's here, certainly those that are not here from the district, they missed something that they should not have missed. So on behalf of the district, we certainly want to thank you, and please give a round of applause to Bob.